Welcome to the podcast. My guest today is Bob Goyer. He is the Community Relations Director at Kingston Residence of Marion. Welcome back to the podcast.
Well, it is great to be here with you again, Dave. It's been a few months since I've gotten to see you, so this is nice to have a little chat with you again.
Yeah, I thought we'd do some kind of general things today just about Kingston Residence of Marion, because I've went through this. Both of my parents are deceased now, but I was a caregiver at one time. And my message to people today, and I think we will do a really good job here, is you need to be looking ahead.
Yep. Boy, amen to that.
And I think this is the problem. Most people are trying to play catch up to an event that once it gets rolling and you have people that are, their health is declining and you go through phases of this. I'm going to be 70 years old. And I can tell that, I know it is pretty much about a certain age. I kind of think this is going to happen. So I need to prepare myself, because you don't want this to become somebody else's issue.
Right.
Quite frankly, because if you're able to do it, I think while you still have the mental capability to do it and your thought process, it's kind of nice if you can have it worked out rather than putting it in somebody else's lap.
Right. Yeah, and I think what happens, of course, people think, well, this is never going to happen to me, or they hope it's not going to. But I guarantee you, you start getting in your 70s. I'm 71 now, and I think about it. I mean, of course, I work around others that unfortunately maybe have neglected to plan ahead, and then the family members need to pick up the pieces, and it's not easy.
No, it is
and
not.
I don't want to do that to our kids. Make them responsible for making decisions or doing things that are very difficult to do. And so parents and kids need to have a conversation, honest conversations, way ahead of time, so they can know the kids can know what to do and how to handle situations, because as you get older, you can get kind of set in your ways, and you might think one way, and it's not always the best way to think or make the best decisions for yourself when you get a little older. So it's good to have somebody that's like your kids or whoever that understands and is willing to make those hard decisions when they come.
I think if somebody, like I've had the experience of with my own parents of doing this, and yourself, and I will say the business side of this, so to speak, I just would implore people to be proactive, because I'm going to tell you what, you can tell yourself, well, I don't want to go anywhere. I just plan on living at home for the rest of my life. Sometimes, folks, that is a wonderful thing. Everybody would like to still stay home, but sometimes life circumstances are a situation where that's not always able.
Right.
And what I like about what I see what you folks are doing at Kingston Residence of Marion is, I wrote these down, and I wanted to kind of go through these with you. You offer things like independent living, assisted living, and you have a memory care units. Now, these covered three totally different areas.
Right.
And all of those can happen as you as you age.
And it can happen fast.
Yes.
You wouldn't think it is, but once you get into, I'll say 80s, early 80s, I mean, anything can happen anytime, but you begin to slow down some. You begin to just have maybe more physical challenges than you had before, even mental challenges. And you can be still independent, still able to do things on your own. But if you're Kingston and you're independent and something happens to where now you need a little bit of assistance, maybe help getting dressed in the morning, or maybe a little bit of even help with your laundry, whatever my simple things, you can do that. You can just stay right there at Kingston, and now you're having some care given to you by caregivers, and then you may progress into, heaven forbid, but it happens, where you get advanced dementia or Alzheimer's or something like that, and you really need somebody to care for you even more, and that can all happen right there at Kingston, and you don't have to move away, you don't have to do anything, and when we talk about things like this, for me, it is such a peace of mind for children. Yes. And that I think I get more satisfaction out of that than I do about anything else, because always, 100% of the time, the kids say, man, I wish I would have done this earlier, or I'm glad I did have things planned out ahead of time. It's made this so much easier. But having the family support, is important, and
Sure.
so there's just a lot of things to do with. But you're right. Do it ahead of time. Don't wait until now you're faced with decisions that are. And then you start feeling that if you're one of the children and you're trying to make some hard decisions, now you feel guilty. Now you start to feel resentful. You can have all these negative things going on, and you can avoid all that by just planning ahead.
Well, that's right. Being proactive and planning ahead and saying, okay, the fact of the matter is I'm going to age.
Yeah.
The fact is my life's probably going to go a little on the downhill side
Yeah,
of my health.
Exactly. Being honest and
Yeah.
realistic
With
about
yourself.
it. Yeah. Yeah. And not be afraid to talk about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not be afraid to talk about death,
No.
because we're all headed towards that, same place. I talk to residents at Kingston, and I have no problem talking about death, because I think death is not something to be feared of, especially when you know the Lord,
Yeah.
and you know where you're,
Well,
you're headed. But
At 43 years old, I had a very bad heart attack and nearly died when I was 43. So, and like I said, I'm going to be 70 here early into next year. So we don't know what life going to deal
No.
us.
right.
But I know we seem to be talking a lot today about being proactive, but I really want to encourage the listener out here, whether you're at Kingston or any place, plan where you're going, because like you mentioned, sometimes things end up in your children's
Yeah.
hands that your children sometimes can't handle. They don't know how to handle them.
Right.
And if you would have just thought a little bit ahead, then your wishes would have been more likely the way you would have liked them. Why leave your future into the hands of other people
Right.
when you could have a hand in that?
And what I would do, just advice, what I would encourage anybody that say, yeah, I do probably need to start planning ahead. What should I do? Call somebody that knows something. If you call me at Kingston, I am going to advise you on what's best for your parent or yourself. I'm not, and anybody at Kingston's like that. I mean, I'm not saying that just to say it either, because we get a lot of calls like that. And they'll say, my dad's in the hospital. He's probably going to go to a nursing home, and I don't know what to do. I don't know anything about nursing homes. We can explain that to you, because that's a whole industry in itself.
Yeah.
That's very confusing and very. There's just a lot of.
It's daunting.
Overwhelming.
To people
Yeah, it's daunting,
daunting
yeah.
and overwhelming to
Yeah.
somebody that has not dealt with this.
Yeah, and I'd be glad to talk to anybody about what's best. The Council of Aging is another place
Yes, yes.
that is good to go and get good information on
Yes.
what choices you have, and even social workers, whether it be in a skilled nursing facility, the hospital. The social workers are trained, in healthcare. Social workers are trained to know how to help families, kind of guide them into good decision making too. So, I mean, there are people out there that are able and willing to help. You just got to ask for the help.
Yes. And now let's kind of focus a little bit here on Kingston Residence of Marion. For those that are unfamiliar with where Kingston is located, probably the best way to say is if you're around where Scioto Shoe Mart is in Marion, that's 95, isn't it? Am I
Just
correct?
off 95.
Just off 95.
Yeah.
You're close,
Yeah,
right?
if you turn at the light where you'd either turn to go to Lowe's, turn to the north, or turn to the left to go down towards Scioto Shoe Mart, or even Bob Evans or whatever.
Right.
That's the easiest way to tell people. And then you go down and around a little bit. It's only what, tenth of a mile or whatever.
Yeah,
from,
it's not very
from
far
that light.
down there.
Yeah.
Again, but that's for those that need to know the name of the street. It's James Way.
James Way,
It's
right.
464, and then
Right.
it's the
Right.
address.
It's 464, right?
All right, now if I want to call and say, hey, I saw this guy on there, because they'll never remember your name.
Right.
And I'm just teasing you.
Right. No, that's
But
that's fine.
hey, I thought I saw you.
Yeah.
I get this a lot myself.
Yeah.
But if you want to talk to Bob Goyer,
Yeah.
how would they contact you?
Call us at 740-389-2311.
You want to
And just-
repeat that just again?
740-389-2311.
Okay.
Ask for Bob. You don't even have to know my last name. Or just ask for that guy that was on You
The
know,
podcast.
I saw because I'm the only guy doing that. So
Okay.
you know that's pretty easy. You know, but yeah, Marion's not that far. It's right off the freeway. I mean, if you go to Meyer, you go to Bob Evans, any of those stores around there, which I'm sure a lot of from Crawford County go there, then you're going to find us real easy, just off the freeway there.
Well, and our podcasts go out, Marion County, all these various areas. So we have quite a following on our podcast.
Good.
So I don't have any doubt that your phone will ring once they see the podcast, because it's just something that we're so used to getting good feedback from that. So that's one of the reasons I wanted to have you on, because we're just involved in so many different things. Now, they can also come and take a tour of the facility, correct?
Sure. Anytime, just call, make an appointment to do it, or just walk in. We had a fellow walk in this morning, in fact, said, hey, could you show me around a little bit? He had a little bit of time. He just wanted to kind of, get a firsthand look, whatever, and that's great. We're very transparent. We're very open. We are very transparent. In fact, there's no hidden agenda. We don't hide anything price-wise. We don't hide anything. How we handle, individuals. The care we're fine with. I'll introduce you to the nurses. I'll introduce you to the caregivers. I'll introduce you to the activities people, and they're just doing their job. But one thing you'll find about Kingston is that, I call it the X factor. You can't put your hand on it exactly, but other people have talked about it. It's very welcoming, very homey, very happy. People are happy there. The residents and the staff. We are a family. I mean, you can say that to make it sound good, but we really are a family. And I work there. I retired, but I still wanted to work there, and they said, "Well, we'll keep you because we need somebody to help do things." And so, to me, it's like every time I go in there, is I'm seeing my family again, and I love the residents and the staff that work there.
Well, you're like me; you like to stay active. So to me, I don't look at age. I look at can I still contribute to something. If I can contribute, I can do that.
Yeah, there's purpose. Purpose in living. I mean, it's important to have purpose, and that's one thing. In fact, we encourage our residents to keep his purpose. You're not just here just waiting to die.
Yes.
You have purpose. You have value. You belong. You're part of something bigger than yourself. How can you contribute to here? Maybe they can't do a lot of things, but they can do something.
Yes.
And we offer opportunities to give to each other, to others in the community, whatever it might be, but you need to have purpose.
Well, Bob, as we wrap this podcast today, any other thoughts you'd like to leave the podcast audience with?
Well, I know we talked a lot about preparing, and so I would really just reemphasize, don't let something this important go until you're forced to make decisions. Plan ahead. You'll be glad you did. I guarantee you will be glad you did this, and just stop by sometime. Even if you don't need Kingston at this point, you might say, well, I don't have any parents that old, or I don't need it myself. That's fine. Check us out. You will be shocked at how nice it is, how cool the people are. I mean, it is. It's just more than you can't imagine what it's like if you've never been there. It's really a special place.
Well, Bob Goyer of Kingston Residence of Marion. I always got to get your title straight because it's a little different. Kingston Residence of Marion. Bob Goyer, Community Relations Director. I thank you for coming over and doing the podcast today. And I wish you every success and for the success there at Kingston Residence of Marion. And I think anything we can do over here at the station and with the podcast, we're here for you.
I appreciate that very much, Dave. You've been a friend a long time, and I appreciate that.
Yeah, I hate to tell people how long
we
we've
won't
known
do
each
that.
other, but we don't want to go down that road. Thanks again, Bob.
All righty. Thanks.